hbs.me/sales. That's hbs.me/sales.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hi there, everyone, and welcome to a special episode of Conscious Cool Chic Radio with Molly McCord, where we're going to talk about Uranus moving into Taurus for the first time in 84 years and what that means for us collectively as a human family and what it means for you individually in your chart. So we're going to talk about a lot of things that give you a heads up here as to what this energy ushers in. And it's important because Uranus is an outer planet. It is the third most outer planet. Pluto is the furthest, then Neptune, then Uranus. And these three planets together are really about the collective experiences that we all have. They are generational planets where we learn and grow together. We feel things on a collective level. It's about humanity's evolution. And Uranus is very electrifying, liberating, revolutionary, rebellious. It is genius energy. It is the individual. It is the activist and anarchy. It is the entrepreneur. It is the part of you that has to be yourself. So it's a powerful energy that we have to embrace and at times harness. It can be hard to harness the Uranus stuff because we don't want authority. We don't want to listen to anyone else. We just want to do it our way and not compromise and don't tell me what to do. Wherever Uranus is in your natal chart is where you need freedom. And you have to feel that freedom in order to really tap into and listen to your own connection to cosmic intelligence, to universal wisdom, because Uranus is our connection to the other energies in other dimensions, other realms. It's almost like we put on our higher frequency antennas and we can connect with even more than we ever thought possible. And that's what Uranus does, is it brings more of these far-fetching ideas down to earth. It's no surprise, then, that astrology is ruled by Uranus, as are metaphysics in general, as is technology, artificial intelligence, robots, anything that takes a quantum leap forward, that's ahead of its time. That is all the energy of Uranus. And so when this planet changes signs, it basically is stepping into a different outfit, okay? It's changing costumes. It's moving into a different way of presenting itself. It has different motivations and different intentions when it changes signs. So before we get too far into what this means with Uranus and Taurus, let's back it up and just look at where your self-identity, your sense of self, your awakening process has really been accelerated since 2010, 2011. Uranus has a tendency to go into a sign, go into the first few degrees, and then it retrogrades back out into the last sign it was just in, and then it comes back in to that sign fully and completely. So back in 2010, 2011, we were all being pushed into who we really are, because Uranus is the energy of awakening, and it's that quickening. It is fast. It is the instant knowingness. It is ascension. It is that sense of there's other beings out there, UFOs and aliens. It's our connection to other places, Sirian planets, the Pleiades. All of this energy, Arcturian energies, all of this is the Uranus stuff that can seem like the weirdo stuff, right? But it's because we're connected to the sense that there's more out there than we even realized. And when Uranus went into Aries, we thought, there's more to me than I ever realized. And since 2011, all been pushed to understand who am I, because that's what the Aries energy does, is it says, well, who are you? And then you listen, or you activate it, or you get pushed to make big changes. You understand who you are not, so that you can further define who you truly are. So we've all been undergoing this rapid acceleration of awakening to our self-identity, to our sense of this is me, underneath all of the conditioning and programming and assumptions and who I thought I should be. No, this is truly who I am. And as Uranus in Aries traveled along, well, it had that very significant square to Pluto in Capricorn 7 times. 7 times. I mean, that just doesn't happen. This was huge. So between 2012 and 2015, Uranus in Aries and Pluto in Capricorn were showing us parts of ourselves. But it was almost like you couldn't hold on to anything, because these are both cardinal signs. So they just start something. Oh, sorry, that's not it. And then you start something else, and you're like, nope, sorry, that's not it. So we had all these starts and stops, 2012, 2015. Some people had this more intensely than others. Depending on your chart, if you have any planets or points at 12 degrees, especially of Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn. But this was the time when you were really push came to shove, and you're like, I have to make a change, get something solid and figured out. But it was all about sampling, because nothing really stuck. Then that square that happened 7 times loosened up, and we could all feel like we were out of the fire, so to speak. And then Uranus kept going forward into the rest of Aries. And it was all about waking up all of these energies within you. Whatever house Uranus is traveling through, it's like he comes in the room and he starts breaking stuff, and he makes sure your alarm clock goes off, and he flashes the flashlight in your eyes. I mean, he's not subtle. This is abrupt energy. Remember, it's the activist. It's the revolutionary. It's the energy that says, I have to get your attention now. Now. So we've all had this acceleration of understanding who we are. I also think this is why more people are interested in astrology, because Uranus came through and said, hey, you better check out this astrology stuff. It might seem weird, and you might not understand how it works, but the more that you learn and practice it, you see how the timing comes together, the themes, the lessons. So Uranus in Aries got everyone interested in learning about themselves. And you said, well, who am I? And so the self-help stuff took off, and the metaphysics and the spiritual and the awakening and all this stuff, right? And so here we are towards the end of Uranus's time in Aries. And there is it's a pulsing energy when a planet is about to finish up. It's like when you were in high school and you had senioritis, and you were like, I can't even be here 2 more months. How am I going to, let me just do something fun, or let me do something big, and let me do a giant prank, or I just have a lot of energy, and there's a restlessness. So Uranus is at 29 degrees of Aries as I do this show. And there is a volcano in Hawaii on the Big Island. The Kilauea volcano is happening, and it's the big deal version with the magma and the lava. Uranus and Aries right there. In Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming, in the U.S., the geyser is erupting sporadically like it hasn't done in years. And all of this is basically the release of pressure. And Uranus does that. It releases pressure because, remember, it's impatient. And it explodes, literally, to get the energy out. So it's letting off steam. It's letting out the lava and the energy that it's been stored in. And then Uranus moves into Taurus, the first earth sign, which would signal that there will be earthquakes, more earthquakes because Uranus shakes us and rumbles us and helps us to shake out and shake off what's not important. So I want to share some thoughts with you about this transition between Aries and Taurus. And it's really important because this is going to be an energy dynamic that we're going to experience into 2019. Because what happens is that Uranus goes into Taurus on May 15th, 2018. It goes to 2 degrees, and then it goes retrograde back into Aries on November 6th, 2018. It goes retrograde to 28 degrees of Aries. Then it goes forward and re-enters Taurus March 6th, 2019, where it stays for 7 years until April 2026. So we're going to be doing a dance between the Aries, these late degrees of Aries, and the early degrees of Taurus. And it's a shaking off energy. And here's what I see it as. So every zodiac sign is very different from the one that follows it. Okay, so Aries is a fire sign, and it's masculine, and it goes fast, and it wants to get something started. All the fire signs are connected with ego, are connected with inspiration, motivation, spirituality, creativity, the movement of expression. Earth signs, Taurus, is feminine and slow and contemplates and looks at things intently and wants peace and wants there to be beauty and lovely things in the world to appreciate, and looks at what is practical and what is tangible and doesn't want to rush at all. So in this dance, Uranus and Aries and Uranus and Taurus, we are looking at our own masculine ego energies, and we are shaking off what is excessive so that when we move into Uranus and Taurus, we move into the more feminine energy, we can then embrace more of our own feminine selves. This is a feminine awakening energy that's going to sweep the planet, that's going to be hitting some people hard because it's going to hit them at what they possess, at what they own, at what they thought had meaning. And it's like they're going to think they have, I have money and I have this status and I own all these houses or I own all this stuff and that's what makes me important. And then maybe Uranus and Taurus takes that away and says, actually, you are precious just for being human, and all of that stuff you thought had meaning or you thought had value, we're taking it away because then you're going to see what your true value is, your true meaning, your true purpose of being here. That's just one example to illustrate the point. Because Uranus disrupts what is not truly you. And as it moves back and forth between Aries and Taurus, we're doing this dance between our masculine energies and our feminine energies. And you said, I started up all this stuff and I got these inspirations and I got going and who I am. And maybe you got a little bit too egotistical or too big for your britches. And then Uranus and Taurus says, okay, well, let's take a look at that and let's balance it. But Uranus balances in a funny way. It's not like it's a smooth thing. It's again, it's a disruptor, and it says, well, let's just quickly take something away to help you balance out where you were too big, where your ego got too swollen. What we're meant to do here is to look at how we can really get to the heart and the value of our own unique genius and understanding that that is cultivated within you. Because everything around us is always going to be changing. That's just the name of the human game. We're always susceptible to change. So Uranus asks us to shake off what really is not us, what holds us back from loving who we are. And chances are you don't even realize it. Because we get in our egos and we get, focused on something and we get maybe caught up in something, and then we have to be shaken back down to earth and saying, actually, that doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Maybe I put too much importance on something and I didn't see what really has meaning to me or has purpose to me. Now, the interesting thing here is that Taurus is one of the energies that never lets go. I mean, if you know a Taurus, if you are a Taurus, if you have strong Taurus in your chart, you know that what do Taurus people do? They collect. They're like, I'm going to buy this, and then I'm going to buy this, and I'm going to possess this, and I'm going to possess this. They have like all the jeans in their closet. They have all the shoes. They have all the houses. Like they collect, because it's all about ownership, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. But Uranus is such a different energy because Uranus says he's kind of a little bit of a trickster sometimes with Uranus because he shakes it up. And so he's the rebel who comes in and shakes up what you value or what you collect or what you've put importance on. And this is interesting because I feel like it just affects, so it's going to affect where you are in your awakening process. If you're too overly, let's say, indulgent on materialistic means, this might hit you hard. It just depends where you are in so many things. But Taurus is about our possessions and what we own and our money, our savings accounts, how we use money, how we invest, how we buy things. It's all about these parts of our lives that are about our survival, self-reliance, ability to take care of ourselves, ability to have the resources we need to take care of ourselves. The Uranus energy will reveal what is not meant to go the distance. And actually what it does is it shows you what you didn't see before. So it can show you where you were like a blind spot, okay? It shows you where you weren't even looking, whether that's within yourself or in the physical world. Because, again, it's a disruptor and it wants you to see the cosmic picture. The other part of this to keep in mind, which is one of my philosophies, is that we know everything is energy. Everything changes form. And so as much as we love having so many pairs of jeans in our closet, well, at the end of the day, they're just jeans. And they're not, the most precious thing on earth, but they're something that you enjoy and they're fun to wear and you look cute and you like your jeans, but they're not the biggest deal. Like you're not overly attached. So the Uranus and Taurus shows us where we are overly attached and then reveals where to I'm getting the image of a, how do I describe this? A tree. The foundation and strength of an oak tree growing within your chakras, and that is your true strength, and that is where you place your energy, is in your core self, like that core solid tree that is, roots in the ground, down to earth, clear, you get it, and you're strong in yourself to the point where the external world stuff, you can handle it. So you can handle the storms, right? And you can handle when the tree branches are swaying or when it feels like a tree branch is going to break, but you're okay because you have a really strong core and a really strong foundation and really strong roots. And that's one of the beauties of Taurus. is that it reminds us that it really comes to what we hold inside. And are you ready and able to embrace that if all you need is really inside, you can handle the changes with more skill and more mastery and without the need to attach, because your sense of security, which is a very strong keyword for Taurus, security and stability, is within. And that is where you put your energy, because you know that, okay, if someone comes in tomorrow and they take all the jeans out of your closet, you say, you know what, I'm good, because I believe in my ability to create and manifest the next pair of jeans that I need. And maybe I don't know exactly where it's coming from, but I believe and I know that my true self-worth and my self-value allows me to sustain myself and take care of my needs. So this is the kind of stuff that we look at, and because we get rocked a little bit with the Uranus and Taurus stuff. We do. We get rocked. And it's not really an easy energy combination, just to be totally honest with you, because Uranus likes to do things his way. Taurus likes to do things her way, and they don't want to compromise. They're both associated with what's called fixed energies, and so they want to be on their own path. And so we're going to have some changes that maybe we don't like at first, because there's this energy of, well, this affects how I feel in terms of safety or security and stability. And, you know, one very obvious example with Taurus is money. So Uranus going into Taurus is about our financial systems, our banking systems, how we use money, Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, even, you know, PayPal, because Uranus is also about technology. So it's how our money systems are moving to less cash and perhaps more electronic means. And by the time Uranus and Taurus, this transit is over in 2026, it's a safe bet that all of our financial systems are going to look very different. How we use money will be different. Now, I'm not saying that everything's going to be Bitcoin. There's some dark energies associated with Bitcoin. It's not regulated. There's issues with it. But what else would it be? We don't know yet. So that's what this energy brings up. It's kind of like things fall apart, or, you think back to the times in history when we had to ration. The last time Uranus was in Taurus was 1934 to 1942. Hitler, World War II, rationing, German troops rationing out in French villages what people could eat. Here's your bread, here's your slice of pork, and here's 2, pieces of broccoli, and that's all you get. The rationing. The unexpected things where your safety is unknown, or how you're going to survive, how you're going to feed yourself. These are all worst-case scenarios, and of course we believe we're more intelligent these days and that we have more resources than ever before at our disposal. But this is the kind of stuff that comes up as the themes, the overarching themes. So Taurus rules the land, the earth, agriculture, gardens and flowers and forests. All of these parts of our planet are going to experience an awakening. Uranus is the awakener. And that awakening, I see it as messages from the earth to us, the humans, and what we are doing to give back, and the realities of global warming and the realities of our daily practices and the nourishment that we give back to the planet, the pollution. There's a lot there, right? That's a big category. But that's really where the energy is. Neptune in Pisces has been showing us the state of the oceans. And so I don't know if you've seen those posts on Facebook and on the news about all the garbage in the oceans and these giant floating masses of garbage. Well, this is a message from Neptune and Pisces showing us where we need to be better stewards of the ocean. And Uranus and Taurus is going to show us where we need to be better stewards of the earth. This also pertains to the earthquakes, to messages from the earth, reminders of how much we rely on the earth and what can we do. And these messages come fast. They're fast and furious. And Uranus is a jolt. It's an electrical shock. It's lightning. And so there could be some big realizations. I believe in, I'm kind of one of these people who, fingers crossed for the best case scenario, but perhaps there is some things that develop where we really put new practices into place, new legislation, new eating habits, and you think about everything that relates to the earth, livestock, the ecosystems, the coral reefs. I mean, right, unlimited list of everything that's related to our planet. So this is where our attention is going to be required. We won't miss it. And I feel that the best positive developments can come from this time too, because of our new level of consciousness, because of the messages that have been circling. And, we can't rely on politics and legislature and all these other systems that are perhaps slowing down the process. It's going to be the individual. Uranus and Taurus is the individual engineers and entrepreneurs and the genius kids and these crazy ideas that just might work. All of that going to support these next steps from now until 2026 around how we are caretakers of our own planet. I'm looking here at my notes because this is such a big topic and I don't want to miss anything. So that's kind of the collective overview of the energies of Uranus moving into Taurus, but let's talk about it at an individual level for you. Because this transit from May 15th until February 2019, February 13th until, February 13th, 2019, we have an instigator in the mix, and he goes by the name of Mars. And he's a rascal, and he's a provoker, and he starts trouble. And Mars is going to be squaring Uranus 1, 2, 3 times in 2018. And Mars adds the volatility, the impulsiveness, the anger, the reaction. So what Mars does is he creates an outburst when he squares Uranus. Now this happens exactly on the day that Uranus goes into Taurus for the first time, May 15th, because Mars is at 29 degrees of Capricorn, and then he continues the square into 0 degrees of Aquarius. So they both move from 29 degrees of cardinal signs, which is Aries and Capricorn, and then they both, within 24 hours, they both move into fixed signs, Uranus in Taurus, Mars in Aquarius. And this means I'm not budging, and I know what I want, and I know what I want. Like they're in a standstill, in a headlock, kind of a square energy that adds the tension, that adds the sense of we have a problem. What are we going to do? And so we have this tension that carries throughout the year, because then Mars goes retrograde at 9 degrees of Aquarius. And so he goes, instead of just going forward on his merry little way, no, he comes back around to revisit the disagreement. On August 1st and 2nd, Mars and Uranus square off again at 2 degrees. 2 degrees Taurus, 2 degrees Aquarius. And they say, okay, listen, it's kind of like you think they walk away from the fight, and then Mars comes back and says, okay, buddy, I got something else to say. Now, Mars in Aquarius is about what the people want. It's the collective. And actually, that is the same energy as Uranus. Because as those of you know, you follow astrology, Aquarius in modern day is ruled by Uranus. And so it's a Uranus energy that Mars activates. But Mars is the ego and the human capabilities and free will, and I'm gonna do something in the streets to cause a revolution. He does things at a powerful level within the human ego, the human psyche, to activate things. So he comes along, he squares Uranus, and they kind of have this back and forth disagreement that carries on August 1st and 2nd, like I said, and then again they revisit it for the third time in September. It's actually September 19th, and they are at 1 degree. The first 0 to 2 degrees of the fixed signs, if you have any planets or points, 0 degrees between Taurus, Leo, forgot Leo. Leos hate to be forgotten. I'm so sorry, Leos. Scorpio and Aquarius, those are hot spots, okay, of something having to shift. Now, Mars is your ego, but Uranus is the bigger energy. So guess what? You got to go with it. It is time to shake it up. It's time to let your ego get smaller. Your ego is not going to win this one. I'm just going to tell you. Because Uranus is forcing the change. Uranus is pushing this through. It's like, do you want to go dragging with or do you want to go screaming, or you want to go dragging, because it's happening. The change is happening. Uranus says it's time. On a bigger level, your soul says it's time. So there's a push here, and you might not like it at first, and you might not want it, but ultimately it's for your highest and best good. It just isn't going to feel that way. I'm talking specifically to those of you with the planets and points between 0 and 2 degrees in the fixed signs, because fixed signs don't want change anyways. But this is a revolution of some sort in your life. It's meant to ultimately set you free. And you probably won't feel that way at first. And you'll be some kind of big, breakdown or unexpected development, or something comes up. And it's depending on the house placement that Uranus and Taurus is transiting. So that happens again in September of 2018, specifically September 19th. And then things kind of cool off, okay? Because something has probably worn you out and you're tired of fighting it. And then what happens in February, middle of February of 2019, it's actually February 13th, 2019, we have a conjunction between Mars and Uranus at 29 degrees of Aries. And that means they are finally on the same page. That means your ego is able to accept the changes or the developments. There's a new sense of self. This is in Aries at 29 degrees. So there's something where Mars and Uranus at Aries are saying, okay, we're going to shake hands on this and let it be settled. The 29 degree is the end point of any sign. It's a closing degree. It's closure. It's like, you know what? I don't want to keep fighting about this anymore. So Mars, he can be childish, and he kind of settles down, and, Uranus is his big brother, and Uranus is like, this is how it's going to be, little bro, and Mars is like, he might be still pissed, but he's like, okay, fine, I'm going to go off, and I have other things to focus on now. So here's the summary. May 15th, August 1st and 2nd, and September 19th are all these days, these hot spots, when Mars and Uranus are disagreeing, they can't get along, they're in a standoff because change is happening and they're fighting it and they're resisting it. And then by February, middle of February 2019, the score is settled. Things are, hopefully reached a healthier place, and they go on and they move it forward. And then Uranus goes back into Taurus on March 6, 2019. So from now until next March 2019, you're getting a sample. It's kind of like an adjustment phase that could be choppy for you, or you could welcome it, about what's to come in 2019. It's a sampler of the energies. So pay attention to what comes up, to where you need to change and be more of yourself, to be free, to be independent, to feel this new part of yourself coming up. Uranus energy is something we can't fight. We're meant to open up to it. We're meant to allow it to shake us, because that's how we connect with even more of our own soul energy and our sense of brilliance. I mean, it is about brilliance, and sometimes we can be so small-minded in our human experience that we forget. I will say that I believe this can relate to cosmic information coming through in the collective, a new understanding of our place in the galaxy and what we are a part of on a bigger scale. It could be a visitation from other planets, the UFOs. I mean, walk-ins have been here, and we've had many visitors from other places, extraterrestrials, on the planet for years. So I think we could see proof of that, because Taurus is about the proof. So a few more things about the Uranus transit in your chart. Money, your relationship with money, how money can hold you back, and what you want to do to get rid of it, to get rid of student loans, to get rid of credit card debt, to get rid of a mortgage payment, what you want to do to be free so that money doesn't hold you down or hold you back. I feel like this is a big issue for Americans, because we have a culture of overspending and, credit cards and consumption. We're not the only culture or country that way, but I'm just saying it feels like there could be some big changes where people are like, I'm not going to spend money on things that I can't afford. So it's revolutionizing our relationship with money and how money works for us and we don't work for money. It relates to ultimately what we believe we're worthy of, and if you believe that you're already wealthy, you will see that in unlimited ways. And it's not just about money. It's how you can be wealthy in friends, how you can be wealthy in good luck, how you can be wealthy in your food supply and in your blessings and in your gratitude, and so many things. So it brings up, what is true wealth? What does that really mean to me? And that's where you decide what it means to you. This energy also pertains to our second chakras, which is how we do feel safe and secure in the world, and ensuring that orange second chakra is healthy and strong, stable, and secure, self-reliant in your ability to take care of yourself. You're not codependent. You're not shallow. You're not materialistic. You're not throwing money around to impress people. You're not trying to live the good life, or you're not trying to keeping up with the Joneses. That is a different energy, right? And when you are more solid in yourself, you understand how it's a tool. Money's a tool, but it's not your self-definition, and you don't have to prove anything to anyone. All of this comes up, and it's all about our belief systems with money and what we've been trained and conditioned to believe, especially through family lineage, through your culture or community, and even just the people around you. Maybe you realize these aren't my people, and I need to find my people who have my same values. And so you You clear out everything and you move to Mount Shasta, or you move to somewhere in the country. You move to somewhere that feels fresher and cleaner, more open. These are all Taurus values. The quiet, serenity, peace, all Taurus values. Uranus in Taurus shows if you're able to receive. And if you can just say thank you. This is about the feminine energies. Again, this goes back to how we are using our feminine energies. And if we're really loving them and embracing them, and knowing that it's a beautiful thing to receive. And we receive every day from the earth. And we receive every minute, every second from the trees that provide us with air. So we're always receiving. It's part of our natural state. And I hope that helps you tune in to more of your natural state, because that's another Taurus value, is that we return to simplicity. And so you see what's excessive, and you say, no more, no longer. I want the simple experience. I want to live in a monastery. I want to get rid of everything that's just too much. So what do? We all empty out our closets and our kitchen cabinets and our garages, and we take all of our stuff to Goodwill, and we say, take it to charity, and we donate it to other people who can benefit from it, because we realize, I have too much. I don't need all this. That was one thing that I realized when I was living in Paris, was how there were no consignment shops. There were no secondhand stores. And I thought, well, why is that? And it's because other countries aren't as excessive as Americans. You don't buy all this stuff just to have it. You buy less, but you maybe buy good quality. And that just always stood out to me as one of my experiences of being in Paris and living there. Because when I moved house, I remember I had 2 different apartments in Paris, and I can't even tell you the looks I got from people when they saw how much stuff I had. Mind you, I didn't have a lot of stuff because I was living in furnished apartments, but it was a lot by Parisian standards, my suitcases, and I think I had a moving van help me with some things. And it was just literally foreign. I was such a foreigner because I had all this stuff, right? And it was a good experience of, well, what does this stuff even mean? And what do I need to haul around? And what's taking up space? Well, look at all that, because Taurus is our possessions and what we own and what has value to us. And you can look around your house and you're like, I hate everything in my house. I'm getting rid of the couch, and I don't want that stool, and I don't like, the blender. It's that sense of, well, what do we want to own that represents our values now and our energy now? So that's a theme, too, in your chart, wherever Uranus and Taurus is transiting. And another thing here is standing your ground. And it's that sense of being in your individuality and feeling really secure and self-confident in what makes you different, because, we're all different from each other. But those of us who have been on the awakening path, and you're a light worker, you're a starseed, you're an empath, you're into metaphysics, you know that you've been a black sheep, right? And you're different from other people, and maybe that's your friends, some family, people you grew up with, what have you. There's a sense here of really loving who you are, and loving that you're different, and loving that you're a way shower, and that you are a light worker, and that you're here with a different perspective or purpose or understanding, and loving that you go into all these metaphysical tools and understandings. It's a sense of not compromising your self-worth for other people. And a book that's coming to mind is Brene Brown's Braving the Wilderness. That might be a really great book to check out, because you get that sense of it's okay to be that individual who's different, because ultimately that's how you're connected to everyone, and you're holding up a unique energy. And now I'm getting the image. This is actually from a Ram Dass quote about trees and all trees being different, and how you just love a tree for what it is, and you don't compare one tree to the next tree. And you don't say, oh, well, this tree is taller, or this tree is thicker, or this, no. You're like, oh, this is a beautiful tree, and this is another beautiful tree. And if you just start looking around and you notice how beautiful every tree is, and every tree is so different, then you see your own role in humanity. And you're like, I'm a different tree, and I'm a beautiful tree. And that is a really important message to give yourself. Anytime, regardless of what the planets are doing. But the Uranus in transit is asking us, Uranus and Taurus transit is asking us to really, again, strengthen that second chakra, and to really feel, getting back to my tree analogy of that oak tree and the core of your being, it's like, yeah, this is me. This is who I am. I'm this tree. I didn't think I'd be this kind of tree, but this is who I am. So I feel like there's a sense of, for those of us who have been ahead of the, let's say, the masses, with our information, you're not going to feel a separation around that. You're going to understand where you belong is here, and that there's work to do here. And that's exciting and thrilling, and that's where it feels good. So it's kind of like this return to feeling so grateful to be on the planet right now, because we know it's not boring. We know it is not a boring time. It is more than interesting. But you and I are here, and we're doing this stuff together, and you're not alone, right? We're all managing to sustain and hold up a certain energy frequency that's doing a lot, and it's doing a lot more than we can realize right now. And then a final thought before we close out this special episode is about the importance of feminine awakening energies. And I feel like what we're meant to do is really look at what the pure, loving, kind, peaceful feminine archetypes are, and how to welcome her into ourselves. Masculine and feminine. It doesn't matter your gender or your sex. It matters what energies you carry. And so it's our ability to be compassionate, to be kind, to be loving, to look for peace when it's hard to find within yourself. Look for peace within yourself. Look for the beauty within yourself. And that's part of what we're really going to crave, is kind of looking for a return to that simplicity, to the beauty, to where that is within us. And so I just want to plant that intention, because we are moving into a time when there's a lot more feminine planets in the cosmos. Okay, Uranus and Taurus is feminine. Neptune and Pisces, feminine. Believe it or not, all the planets in Capricorn are feminine. Capricorn is a feminine planet. I don't know about you, but I forget that because I think about Saturn, right? And Saturn and Capricorn. But Capricorn is of earth, practical energy, and that is a feminine energy. So all these outer planets are bringing us feminine messages. Chiron was just in Pisces and just moved in to Aries and is helping us heal our wounded masculine. I did a separate show on the Chiron in Aries. Check that out. It's on Blog Talk Radio and iTunes, and it's also on YouTube. So the message is clear, right? That we're meant to return to more of our feminine nature, which is about the love and less of the war and more of the acceptance and more of the opening. It's opening the front door and, letting someone come and sit on the couch and you just listen. It's not, of course, it's not passive. It's not weak. It's none of that. But it is the sense of we need to go into these energies because we have forgotten them. In our modern lives, with our technology, with our go, with our fast stuff and our ambitions and our careers, there's so many places where the masculine energy is needed. So it's not about getting rid of that, but it's a rebalancing of it. Also, I know Jupiter is in Scorpio right now, but Jupiter is going to move into Sagittarius in late 2018. So I hope that this gives you good insights into what's important overall, okay? Like the bigger cycle, which is what the planets show us. The bigger cycle is that the feminine awakening energies are happening for all of us on the planet, and we are going to be stronger because of it, and we're going to have some big changes with this Uranus and Taurus because we're meant to. We're meant to look at where we've become over-reliant and what needs to shift, which I see it as, even just looking at the financial systems and how we use money, well, let's shift it up to the current state of human consciousness that supports us in our growth and supports the world and the collective. And I feel like as you do that, like as things get shifted up, you also can see more of the corruption that was underneath the rug, like the roaches under the rug, that gets exposed. So that'll be interesting. But overall, we are really ready for this, my friends, and know that you are ready for it. And wherever Uranus and Taurus is in your chart, it's time to shake up these parts of you that have been dormant, and they're going to come alive, and they're going to set you free, and they're going to show you even more of your unique brilliance. Okay, we covered a lot. Please know that you can go back and listen to this show again. You can listen to me jabber on all over again. But I hope that this brings you an oversight. I do a weekly podcast where I talk about the energies every Wednesday. You can find that on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, YouTube, and it's streamed to other distribution channels. It helps, the collective, you feel connected, you understand what's going on, I give you updates on these planetary things. So please listen to my weekly podcast to stay connected. And please know that I really appreciate you. I appreciate that we talk astrology together. I have been studying astrology for over 25 years. I am in my early 40s, and I started as a teenager. I think I was 12, 13, 14. I had my first professional reading for my 16th birthday. I love this stuff, and I'm excited to connect with more people who love it too. And I never take that for granted because I was, the weirdo. I was metaphysical weirdo girl for years, and I think it's my superpower. So I love it, and I love that there's others who get it. So my friends, thank you for your time. Thank you for your energy. If you're listening on YouTube, feel free to write comments, like, and subscribe. If you're listening to this podcast, please subscribe to my channel, and you'll get more good info as I release it. And in the meantime, I wish you the very best on your journey. Namaste, and I'll speak with you soon. Bye-bye.